lot of people don't look for the history of wrestling. And if you don't understand the history of wrestling, you'll never understand the art that's behind it. And I had this conversation with a group of guys recently, and I'm like, do y'all know why they call the gorilla position behind a curtain? And they're like, no. It was like, well, tell me why you think it. And nobody could give me an answer. They were like, I don't know why. And I'm like, because Gorilla Monsoon would watch your matches and he would go over everything there. He would critique everything. And when Gorilla Monsoon died, Vince McMahon wanted to do something to commemorate him. And he kept the gorilla position. He named it the gorilla position. And that's where everything goes through there, the brains, everything. But it's in honor of Gorilla Monsoon. And when I told wrestlers that, they're like, oh, wow. I said, man, you got to understand everything that you're in to appreciate it more. I stand at 6'6", weighing 350 pounds. I'm the master of the go-home lariat and the show's over guillotine choke. I fight out of Houston, Texas. I'm the owner and operator of the Killer Protection Agency. I'm also known as the King of the Underground, the baddest man that walks the land, Mr. FSU, Wrestling Push-A-Man. Oh yeah, I'm the John Goodman of professional wrestling. The infamous Killah Kash.
John, you caught me there. Caught me off guard. Killer Kash is on the episode for the podcast. How are you?
I'm good.
That caught me off guard.
It always catches everybody off guard.
Like, how long did that take you to get that ring announcer intro out? How long did that take to get to that point?
One take. I thought it would be interesting. Yeah, I thought it would be interesting. And I was like, so I wrote it out and I was just like, all right, you know what? This would be funny because I always give myself a whole bunch of nicknames that just make no sense. So it was a joke with a buddy of mine years ago. And it was like, that'll never work. So the nicknames have always been a running joke between me and him. And he's not a wrestling. He's a wrestling fan. And the nicknames were a lot worse. The one was AKA Little Kirsten Dunst.
Oh my god!
So I came up with AKA the John Goodman of professional wrestling, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this at a show, and I think the first show I did it at was at a New Texas show.
Okay.
The Contender Series. And I just wanted it to be so over the top and so annoying that people hated it. And they don't fucking hate it. They love it. So
I was doing some research on, I think the cage match is a thing to find everybody. But being trained under Booker T, what was that handshake like meeting him when you were a trainee in your career?
So I originally came to Books in 2006.
Okay.
I was at Books when it was known as the Pro Wrestling Alliance. So this is when he was King Booker before he went to TNA. And man, the talent that came out of that school was phenomenal. And it was it's so wild because a lot of that talent is underappreciated and underutilized, but they're so good. And it was kind of like you had to swim with the sharks. Whatever they were doing, you did it with them. So I would go 5 days a week. I would be there at 4 in the afternoon. I would leave at 9 at night. And it was training in the hot warehouse every day, Monday to Saturday. And on the days of shows, we would tear down the ring. We would get there probably about 7 in the morning, load up everything, take it to the show, build up, go grab something to eat, come back, get ready.
Wow. And what were some of those guys that were, do you know of the names that you've trained with during your time with Book?
So I guess you would say the biggest names that were at Books were the Usos.
Oh, okay.
When the Usos came in, um, it was it was funny because when they came in, I didn't think anything of it because they just came in and they were like everybody else. They just wanted to learn. And
Okay.
then Umaga used to come in a lot with them,
Wow.
and everybody would get scared. Like they would have their own ring, and Umaga would help train. And I was like, man, fuck this. Like, where are they going to tell me no? So I went over and I got in the ring with them. And just with the times and the interactions with Umaga, just in the ring with the Usos, man, I learned a lot.
Hmm.
A lot. Um, and it was just, they're cool. Like, it's funny because even like when I would go to WWE shows and I would be backstage, they would still know me by the name that Book gave me, and they would call me that, and I fucking hate it. I hate it.
It's more endearing. It's more endearing for sure.
Yeah, yeah, but it's always like a running joke and stuff like that. But man, it was just like at the time, Book had guys that were just really good.
Hmm.
That if you gave an opportunity, they would have made a name on any of the stuff they were doing, the FCW stuff, NXT stuff. They would probably still be there or
Right.
be bigger names in the indies.
What was the advice that you got, whether it's Book or Umaga, or any of the coaches that you had during your time at PWA?
So with Booker, Booker was just he's very blunt when it comes to certain things.
Hmm.
And he's just like, know yourself. But if you're imitating a wrestler and trying to portray them, you'll never get it because you'll never
Oh.
be that wrestler. Always be yourself. Use what you are and amplify it. But also, he was just kind of like, never look at wrestlers for characters, look at movies for characters.
Okay.
When I was Remedy, I looked at Fear and Loathing. I was Dr. Gonzo. Yeah,
Oh, okay. You blew my. That's right. I kind of sensed that too. Okay.
yeah, I was Dr. Gonzo. Very unstable, would talk to himself, and was just like, all right, man, this guy should be in a mental asylum. But it
Hmm.
was a disturbing unsettledness to me. Um, what you see with the presentation now, that's me. That's me, and it's not me turned up. It's me turned down.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of people that know me outside of the ring can know how nasty I can be because of my old line of work and my line of work now. Uh, and they're just like, oh, but I can't be like that at wrestling.
Hmm.
This is a vacation for me. This is like I can leave that side at home and just enjoy myself. So this is like Disney World to me, and it's in good
Ah.
times.
That's cool. I haven't even thought of that too, where it is wrestling for whether it's a fan or if you're working, it's an
Hmm.
escape for those
Yeah.
2 or 3 hours in a
Hmm.
show. That you kind of blew my mind on that. And to progressively go from Remedy to where you're at now, what were some of those changes that you're like, okay, what can I do to make my own character persona or wrestler fresh for everyone to watch?
So I felt with Remedy, I've gone as far as I could
Okay.
because I feel that the name, the presentation, and everything could only go so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of had a clarity moment. And it's funny because it was kind of like word vomit on Facebook. And I was like, fuck it, I guess I'm doing that. And when I announced it, I was like, all right, man, there's no going back now.
Just
And
commit.
that's what it was. But it was just like I felt like I could only do so much as Remedy.
Mm.
But with me going back as Killah Kash, I could do so much more.
Because it's
And
almost like it's kind of like there is. this silent type with your size. It's almost like you're waiting to explode, and you're walking. I remember some of your matches. You just walk right in, and it's like, oh, okay, that guy.
Yeah. And then it's funny because like people will see me for the first time and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a big guy," and they're like, "Oh man, he's kind of a fat guy." And then they see me give somebody a forearm shot, and they're just like, "Oh fuck, okay." And when they hear the forearm shots or they see that lariat, and they're just like, "Oh, okay, now we know why."
Who was the hardest shot you've done on someone?
The hardest chop? Okay, so there's a secret about my chops.
Okay.
I don't chop hard.
Okay.
I don't chop hard at all because if I chop hard, I could pop windshields. I shit you not. If I can pop a windshield with my hand. I used to
Okay.
do it when I used to like when people used to piss me off when I'd work a nightclub and I would tell them, "All right, man, have a good night." Bam, and I'd pop a windshield.
Oh no.
Yeah. So like I don't hit hard with chops. I just do enough to get a good sound. But also it's like the one thing I don't like, if you really think about chops, think about it like this. There's not that much muscle on your chest. And then you have your sternum right there and your heart's so close to it. If I
Yep.
hit you so hard, I could throw your heartbeat off.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't happened yet to anybody. I hope it hasn't happened yet.
Oh
That's
God
one
forbid,
thing that I
no.
think of. That's one thing that I think of is just like, and I don't hit in the sternum like a monster. I hit right here,
Mm-hmm.
but still, I don't want to cause somebody so much pain where it alters them being able to go to work.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's safety at the end of the day with
yeah,
everyone too. Because oftentimes, because like whenever there's chops from everybody, I'm like that. I mean, the sound itself is pretty much the attention grabber. I remember someone from the podcast. They'd be like, "All right, people are looking at their phones. Let me chop them." That would take their phone away from them and would look to where the match is going. So
yeah.
that's kind of like that type of attention grab while being safe during a match too.
So I've never had, and it's not to toot my own horn. I've never had a group of people just like look at their phones at my match. But
Some
if I
do. I've
did,
seen them. I've seen them, but it's like, oh, come on, guys, really?
yeah, and I'll grab somebody by their mouth and I'll yell, "Look at me, bitch! The play's on stage." And I'll just start lifting some
Ah,
up.
oh, that got him. That got
Yeah.
him.
So, and it's just like, all right, or just like, all right, man, I guess we're gonna go outside and we're gonna fall into those people that aren't that are looking at their phones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because it and like especially in your matches too. Like one thing I notice a lot is you're. I'm sure in real you are calm, cool, and collected. When that switch turns on, what makes you turn that switch before when you start walking out and the switch turns on? What would be that moment that you're like, you know what, F it, let's get this match going?
I just start thinking. I just start thinking.
Wow, that's anticlimactic.
Yeah, I just start thinking. It's funny because I'll joke around with some people and I'll be sitting in the back just having a good time. It's like, all right, man, I'll be right back. And then, bam, it's that.
Okay. So it's just like it's just forming it, and then the switch just goes on, just like that. Oh, okay. That's kind of creepy. Okay, blew my mind. The one thing I noticed too is with and again, cage matches coming in clutch. The ACW Tag Team Championship. You've
Yeah,
had this reign for 651 days. Who was your partner, and what
Masada.
was it? What?
Masada.
Oh, Masa. Wow. Okay, you got a legend with you for that time. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. What was it like working with them? And having that span of time, because 651 days is still pretty long, long reign for a tag team match. What was that like going through those paces of having that title defense being held with Masada for 651 days?
So some people would think like, oh, it was 651 days. It wasn't defended that much. No, we defended that every month. Yeah,
Oh,
we defend. It wasn't like, oh, we won it, and then a couple of months later we'll defend, and a couple of months later we'll defend. No, we defended every month. Now there were some
wow.
occasions where he would have a singles match and I would have one, and vice versa. But it was, yeah, we defended it every month.
How much of that? How much is that? Um, Man, well, with every those title defenses, was there expectations? Because I mean, like any championship, you're a face of a company. Were the expectations ratcheting up month by month when you're defending those titles?
So other people will tell me another story, but this is honestly what I believed.
Okay.
At ACW, I was underlooked and underutilized. I was
Okay.
underappreciated. But there were a handful of people that were there that advocated for me.
Okay.
And at times I felt like I wasn't looked at as, I was just looked at as another guy, as a big guy.
Mm.
They had their favorites, and I wasn't any of their favorites. And when it was brought up of, hey, Masada was like, I want to tag with Cash. And
Oh,
they
okay.
were
Okay.
just like, okay, because we had a match the month before, and I beat Masada. And I beat him by submission, which nobody can say they beat Masada by submission. And then it was just kind of like we tagged and we won. And then everybody was just like, wait, what? And then when they started seeing my quality of work and they really started paying attention, they were like, where the fuck did this come from?
Mm.
And then that's when they realized, oh, wow, we've been really not using him. Because if I stand with somebody or across from somebody, I'm not going to let you know that I'm inexperienced. I'm not going to let you know that this isn't my first time. I'm going to stand there and look the part.
Mm.
So,
It just takes someone to. It's that old adage of like someone's an overnight sensation, but it took so many years to get to that sensation,
yeah,
and all it takes is one person. And how much has Masada? I'm going to talk with this like with
yeah.
Book. How much was it like working with him, and what knowledge did you gain from him, getting that title?
I will tell you, I will always preach his name to the high mountains.
Mm,
Um, Masada went from being a mentor to being like, he's my brother. I love him to death.
mm,
We would go on road trips, and his thing was our show's on Sunday. So he'll pick me up from my house like Friday early afternoon, and we drive, and we just go different places. And it's funny because we're not going to shows. We're going to go hang out at somebody's house and drink. They got a barbecue
oh, okay,
coming up.
that's cool.
We're going
Okay.
to go hang out there and drink. And he's like, if you have any questions, just ask me. And then it became from asking questions to where we'll watch old wrestling together, and he'll break down certain formulas of everything. He'll break down certain instances of everything. And I just sat there. And as a young boy, and I'll always say in this industry, I'm always going to be a young boy when it comes to wrestling. I always want to
Right.
learn. So I'm just sitting there and I'm absorbing everything he taught me. And it's just like I couldn't give him enough credit. I this podcast should probably go on for a day with as much credit as I can give him. But I owe
Mm,
Masada just not even my wrestling career. I owe him my life because talking
mm,
to him just about life in general, he's a great man. He's a great man. He's underutilized now over other things, but he's always appreciated around the people that truly know him.
And he made an impact on you for sure from day one.
Yeah, he has. The skewers, it was a blessing that was handed down from him. I didn't.
Hmm.
I asked for permission if I could do it, and he was like, "Yeah." And then I asked again, and he's like, "Yeah." And then I asked a third time, and he's like, "Brother, they're yours."
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And it's interesting too. Like, do you remember a moment that you've watched tape with him, and how much did that mean when you're doing stuff in the ring now?
it's funny. I remember one moment, and I think I have a picture of it. We were at one of his friends' houses, and we were watching Lucha Underground, and he broke down this match. And when he broke it down, it was a casket match on Lucha Underground. I don't remember which one it was, but it was Mil Morte.
Okay. I think he's more
And
into coffin matches. I think he's more into that in the show.
he broke it down, and he broke down the psychology, but then he started breaking down lucha wrestling. And when he started really breaking down lucha wrestling to me, and it was just like there's an art truly behind everything that some people don't like. A lot of people don't look for the history of wrestling.
Mm.
And if you don't understand the history of wrestling, you'll never understand the art that's behind it. And I had this conversation with a group of guys recently, and I'm like, do y'all know why they call the gorilla position the gorilla position
Hmm.
behind a curtain? And they're like, no. It was like, well, tell me why you think it. And nobody could give me an answer. They were like, I don't know why. And I'm like, because Gorilla Monsoon would watch your matches, and he would go over everything there. He would
Mm.
critique everything. And when Gorilla Monsoon died, Vince McMahon wanted to do something to commemorate him. And he kept the gorilla position. He named it the gorilla position. And that's where everything goes through there, the brains, everything. But it's in honor of Gorilla Monsoon. And when I told wrestlers that, they're like, oh, wow. I said, man, you got to understand everything that you're in to appreciate it more.
Yeah. How come? How had there's this old adage I used to remember. I'm learning this now too when I'm watching wrestling. When everything counts in every aspect of wrestling, how much has that been in your life where everything has a meaning or a purpose or a small nugget that will lead to where wrestling is being where wrestling is at to today. My brain hurts. Go ahead.
Um, so it's funny because a lot of people say like wrestling has opened them up to other aspects and like they become more talkative, they can speak more in front of crowds. Man, I was a bouncer for like 20 years. I was a bouncer.
Mm,
I don't have a problem talking in front of crowds. I don't have a problem doing any of this. But with wrestling and that line of work, I've learned more of like crowd control,
mm.
which you can see at the end of my matches every time because I'll make everybody stand. I make everybody stand. It's
I
a
tried to. It's like
celebration.
nope. I'm already standing at this point too. It's like picture. All right, cool. I'm up already.
But man, I don't really blend wrestling in with my personal life. I try to keep them separate.
Okay.
Like my job doesn't know of my wrestling. Uh, certain wrestlers know of my job, but I kind of keep fences up.
Hmm.
So
You set
I never
boundaries to
touch.
yourself too. Yeah, you set
Yeah.
boundaries too.
So
Okay. Yeah, and you were sponsored. We'll talk about the first sponsor with Channel Effect and run it with us. What is Channel Effect? I am an initiate, so break us down. What Channel Effect is.
so oh man, Channel Effect was a creepy pasta page on YouTube that I subscribed to because I liked a lot of their stuff.
Okay.
And I don't know how it happened, but I met the guy behind it and he found out that I was a wrestler. And we talked and we kind of shooted the shit. And he was like, I would really love for you to, like, I want to do some edits for you for matches and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I sent him clips and stuff that I had because I can't edit the way he does. And he's just been doing my stuff, but he hasn't been doing any horror stuff lately, which I've been getting on him about. It's like, I like your scary stories a lot more than the wrestling shit. But I think he's been trying to branch out with other wrestlers, but nobody's ever responded back to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it just kind of seems like it's just for me. But I know he's done stuff with Chris Lyons, which Chris Lyons is a phenomenal wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's trying to branch out to a couple of other people also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much has that melded into your own wrestling repertoire with Channel
Um,
Effect?
Man, I like the stuff. Like, I thought it was really interesting with the analog stuff because I've never seen that anywhere. I like how he does my announcements. Like, he'll be like, "Hey, man," he's like, "Give me a list of like where you're about to go and who."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay." And then he sends out a TV guide video of like where I'm going next, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is cool." Like, this is really fucking cool. Um, but then he like, I guess he started like Channel Effect Wrestling, but everything still goes through Channel Effect. So I asked him, I was like, "Why'd you start another page if you're not doing anything with it?" And he was like, "I guess he works a lot."
Okay.
So yeah, but he's also not from Texas. I don't know where he's from. Like every time we've talked like on the phone a little bit, and I don't think he's from the States. I don't
Oh,
think he's
okay.
from the States.
What
So,
was I'm curious too, like what made Channel Effect grab sorry, what made you grab his attention with Channel Effect? Like what was that handshake like? And you're like, oh, okay. Like what were some of those points that caught his attention to work with you at Channel Effect?
so I remember he was like, "Hey, he's looking for a new logo." Because I think the logo that he had originally was like an AI logo, and it was really
Okay.
fucking horrible. And he was like, "I'm looking for a new logo, and I like to draw, and I'm learning how to draw like on a tablet because I can draw on paper, I can,
Right.
and it's kind of a learning curve to draw on a tablet, but I love it." And I sent him the logo, and I sent him two different types, and he was like, "I fucking love it." And I told him, "It's like, hey man, I'm a wrestler." And I think I made the joke of when I was Remedy, I said, "I'll put your logo on my wrestling gear if you'll sponsor it." And he did.
Hmm.
So
At
now,
least his name got out there.
yeah, yeah. But man, he's cool. He's cool. He goes by the name Mr. Gone, which I find funny, which is like a Max reference. And I called him out on that.
He's like,
Um,
oh. He's like, what? I'll
yeah.
pretend nothing happened.
So,
Oh my goodness. And the second one, and you mentioned Wood Chipper already, with Renegade USA.
yes.
Um, Lieutenant Dan has been he's big in his own right,
Yeah.
forming the Renegades. We had Law, we had Zeke Rose, you had Yuan, and so many others. What was it like having that handshake with Lieutenant Dan to be part of the Renegades?
So Originally, originally, it was kind of like the idea was pitched to me,
Mm.
and it was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be a part of a group. And when I joined, I was kind of like, all right, man, let me see how these guys are. I'm kind of like pulled back from it because I was like, let me see how these guys really interact. And like, we have a group chat where we talk, we share matches and stuff like that. And then it was just like, I finally got on a show with most of the guys. And it was like, all right, well, now I'm seeing how they're interacting. And I was just like, okay, all right, man, they're not all egos. It's like seeing you boys you haven't seen in a long time. And I've been around a lot of promoters that are just kind of like, oh, I'll take care of you, I'll take care of you. And then they don't. But Dan took care of me. Everything that he said he was going to do, he did.
Mm.
And I told him, I was like, hey, man, you got me. You got my loyalty. And he's been 100 with me ever since. He's been great to me, been really great to me. And I'll always give the name out of Renegades USA.
Yeah. And how's Brotherhood been helpful in your career? And it's not just the camaraderie, but to have a brotherhood to um, improve in what you're doing things in your wrestling career. How did that play into that with brotherhood?
So some of my best friends it's funny because some of my best friends now work for bigger companies,
Mm.
and I'm always happy for them. There's never a jealousy towards it because at the end of the day, their hard work paid off. Their hard work
Mm.
showed, and I'm so happy for most, like not for most. I'm so happy for all of my brothers. Now, like I have one of my brothers that I was very close to. He passed away, and it was Sean Vex, which that's the
Mm.
reason why I have the infamous moniker to commemorate
Ah.
Vex. Um, he passed away, and it was kind of the core three of us that always talked on a daily basis was me, Vex, and ACH,
Okay.
and we talked all the time. And when he passed, we were on our way to a show. Uh, we were on our way to a show, and we planned for him to come because we hadn't saw him in so long. We
Okay.
planned for him to come, and he kind of talked it down, but he was for it. He wanted to go, and we talked to him hours before he passed, and I guess we didn't realize how bad it was. And me and Albert looked at each other at the show and was like, I guess it's just us. Like we only
Mm.
got each other now.
Yeah.
And I miss Albert. Um, I miss Albert. I wish him the best. Another person that I'm really close to is Ricky Saints, which I got to get used to that.
We all are. We all the Texans are
Yeah,
going to be thrown off too.
yeah. I got to get close to that. I'm really close with Ricky. Um, I'm not as close to Brian Keith, but we had one great match, and then I retired.
Riding off into the sunset at that point.
Yeah, but I've known Brian Keith his from the start of his wrestling career to now.
Mm.
So
It's interesting because and we're seeing a lot of this now where the wrestling has gone. I guess I haven't noticed it on my side, like how interconnected the wrestling community is until you see it, and how much of that interconnectedness kind of gave you um, a better support system in your life as a wrestler.
man, so there was an instance during the pandemic. I got COVID, and I got the first strand of it. Like I got the
Mm,
worst strand of COVID,
right.
and like my son was with me. My son never got it, which I'm very glad.
Mm,
But it was so bad where it was no lie. I thought I was about to die. I didn't want to put it on social media that I got COVID. I didn't want to put it on all. But I remember there was times where I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak.
right.
And I think I wrote on Facebook like, hey, if I die and y'all find out, it's because I had this.
Mm,
And I'm here. I didn't die. But I remember when everything shut down, hey man, my bills are still the same. I just don't
mm,
have a job now. And I think I wrote, it was just like, hey man, if somebody can help me with a couple $100, it's like, I need to make my car payment.
mm,
And I think I fell asleep and I woke up to like a lot more. Way, I don't ever want to say it,
wow.
but I woke up to way more than what I expected. And it brought tears to my eyes of how many people truly cared, how many wrestlers, how many fans, how many people truly cared and loved me. And at the time, I suffered from depression.
Mm,
That's always a thing with it. I always suffer from depression. I was always in my head, and what people would write and stuff like that, and it was just like it took care of me for a long
mm,
time. And I'd screenshot everybody that wrote something nice to me, whether it was just like $5, $10, $20, or even more. Everybody wrote something nice. And anytime I feel down, I still go back and I read those because it let me know of how many people's lives I truly affect in a good way. Just from
mm.
fucking going in the ring and fucking slamming people. It was like that that affected you in a good way. I was like, hey man, I'm grateful that my 10 minutes in a ring done has done good for you. But it's just like I didn't think that I was that important.
And people are looking out for you. People are looking
Yeah.
out for you too. And
Yeah.
even though it's a call to action for people to help you out, and seeing how much of an impact, whether it's something small or a spot that made you go over and making them over for that certain amount of time. Like at the end of the day, it's the golden rule at the end of the day too. Like you've done so much in the ring in that span, but the love and the adoration and like the support that you've got came right back came right back to you.
Yeah. And it lets me know that it's just like, hey, I guess I'm a bigger piece in the puzzle than what I really thought.
Mm, that's
So
true. That's true. So we are going to talk about a couple of matches, but let's start with you. What's like the match that you enjoyed working with?
oh man. Uh if I would have to say like my favorite matches, um I got three.
Okay.
I had a really good match with ACH at Metroplex Wrestling, and it was kind of like I was supposed to wrestle Matthew Palmer, but Matthew Palmer had food poisoning,
Mm,
so ACH was a surprise. We called nothing. All we knew was what we were going to do was a finish,
mm-hmm.
and we called nothing. We went out there and just fiddle faddled for for the time being. And
Another way of saying
anybody,
ad libbing.
yeah. And if anybody can really like notice me and Albert, you will catch us making jokes back and forth in the match to each other and just giggling. And he gave me a really good compliment after. And he was like, I haven't been able to call a match like that in the ring with somebody since Drew Gulak. which is a big
Oh.
fucking compliment. Um, Another match that I was really proud of was me and Masada at XPW. It was a very bloody match, but it got people to pay attention to me. It just
Okay.
sucks that nothing happened with it. And another match that I was really proud of because of the rules was me and Shibashi.
Okay.
So I've never wrestled a match where I can't use weapons, but they can.
That does not. Well, it worked out because I was going to ask that. Thank goodness you brought that up. Because, like, to have that stipulation and working through that. And the one thing I noticed too is you do not go down. That's the most unique aspect of that match. Shimbashi threw everything but the kitchen sink. It might as well be a kitchen sink, but you kept going down. How much of that? How much of that? Just the fact that you can't be knocked down. Granted, it did go. You did go down eventually, but to have that personality, I'm not gonna knock myself down because of weapons. You know what I mean?
Um,
Hopefully that makes sense.
yeah.
That's me workshopping.
So it's funny because you'll always see the legit reaction of people when they blast me with something, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Oh fuck." And it's like I like to take it as I guess the best way of thinking of it, and me being a comic book nerd, was the Avengers scene, Age of Ultron, when Tony's fighting Hulk in that Hulk Buster,
Mm-hmm.
and he hits him one good punch, and he spits out a tooth, and he's like, "I'm sorry,"
Oh, I see.
and
Okay.
and that's usually how it is. When somebody hits me really good, all right, man, I'm awake now. Now I'm excited. You just woke me
Oh.
up. Congratulations. You're not gonna like this. Uh, but it's funny because the night before, I wrestled Necro Butcher in a no-ring bar fight, and I
Mm.
won by knockout.
Wow.
And a guy came up to me after and he was like, "You know how many people have knocked out Necro Butcher?" And mind you, I'm covered in blood and I have to go to work. So I really don't want to be a part of this conversation. And I was like, "How many?" And he was like, "Samoa Joe's the only person that's knocked out Necro Butcher." And I was
Wow.
like, "Oh, shit.
You're
Okay."
in good company at that point.
Yeah. So I was like, "I got to go to work." So, but then I wrestled Shibashi the next night, and that was an interesting match. The mist sucks. It swelled my eye up.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't go to work. Like it got in my eye and swelled it up. So I think I was getting a beer after, and a guy was like, "Oh, I like that match. That shit looked fake." And I
What?
showed him my eye, and I showed him my eye, and he saw that it was swollen to fuck,
Does that look
and he was
fake to
like,
you?
"Oh, I'm sorry." It was like, "Yeah, go buy me a beer." And he bought me a beer. He bought me a couple of
Oh my
which
gosh.
I always tell everybody, "Hey man, buy me a beer. Buy me a beer, we'll have a conversation."
I did it. All right, I did my part.
Yeah.
Just give me a drink. Call it a night.
Yeah, I'm a cheap date. Give me a Lone Star.
Oh my god. So we're moving forward to Borracho. Um Between that time leading up to well, let me rephrase that. Hold on. You've had your so I am going to add New Texas. Actually, you know what? Let's add New Texas because you kind of you were just there. You were minding your own business at the New Texas show with Bulls on Parade. And what was it like working at New Texas? Granted, of course, you had your triple dipper gone with Hit. What was it like working with Kiefer at New Texas?
So this is a story that I don't tell anybody. When I left wrestling, Kiefer was the most respectful person ever. He gave me a
Mm.
match at New Texas, and we had a joke about it. So Kiefer once asked, he's like, who's the person that's been kicked out the most at Booker's? And he was given my name. I was kicked out the most
I
at
was like, I
Booker's.
knew I was gonna go with that.
Yeah, I was kicked out the most at Booker's. When I tell people I like to be on my worst behavior, I like to be on my worst behavior. Um, but we had a joke about that, and then I left wrestling. Um, when I found out that I could come back, I hit up two people. I hit up Brian Keith and I hit up Kiefer Bartek. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, should I? Should I come back? And their response was, if you love it, come. Go for it.
Ah, okay.
And Kiefer has welcomed me into the Texas Contender Series with open arms. And I love the
Mm.
Contender Series. I love that place to death. All those guys are solid. I could put that roster against any other roster and they'll sweep the floor with them. They're
Okay.
good guys. Um, but I love New Texas. What I don't like is somebody disrespecting the champ and
Mm.
then feels like they can disrespect me after and then knock
Right.
my food and drink out my hand.
That's rude.
So,
That's
oh,
kind of
don't worry,
rude.
I'm gonna fuck them up. I'm gonna fuck them up. And if I'm not allowed to cuss on here, I've been cussing this whole time. I'm gonna fuck them up.
No, and I was going to ask this too, like to impart what you've learned so far with all of the training and advice that you got. What was it like handing that off to a younger generation with the Contender Series?
Oh my god. I don't feel like I'm shit in wrestling. I don't like. Oh, when somebody was like, "Oh, can you watch my match?" It was like, "Why do you want me to watch your match?"
You're like the last person.
Yeah, I'm like, "Why me?" But then it's just like I critique on little things, and then I watch that they do it, and it was like, "Oh wow." I remember when I started training after an injury, and I got back into wrestling. And I was training with a group of young guys. And now these young guys are bigger names in Texas
Mm.
Indies. But I remember watching them in their wrestling gear for their first ever match because it was a battle royal. And I still got the
Ah.
picture. And I was at ACW and I got sent the picture of them in their gear getting ready for their first match. And I cried. I was so
Ah.
proud. I was so proud. And I cried. And now seeing these guys at New Texas and that they're all respectful, they're all humble,
Right.
but they're all
They're
hungry.
learning. They're learning for sure. Kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah, and I love it. I love the Contender Series, and it's biased because I love the Contender Series more than I love New Texas.
Mm.
I love the Contender Series more than I love New Texas, and people are gonna be like, "How?" But if you're there, you can tell. So
All of them are hungry. Like that's the
yeah,
one thing I'm noticing with the Contender Series. I mean, like the main roster with New Texas has its own recognition, but the Contender Series guys, they are chomping at the bit to get their names out there and seeing like the Dustin Wins or the Dream Teams or just vibing because they know what it takes to be in that next level in the business, but they're still getting their names out there.
do you know who's my favorite wrestler in the Contender Series right now?
Okay,
And
go
I've
ahead.
told him this before, and I think it shocked him. But Isaac Morales, my
Oh,
favorite. That is my favorite wrestler on that roster, and it's just he's so good. He's so good. From a wrestling standpoint, if you sat there and watched him, there's no wasted motion with him.
it's
And
fluid.
yeah, and he's good. Everything from his mic work to his in ring, it's all good. I just wish he changed his music. But
I'll have to watch his matches now. Did you see a little bit of yourself with Isaac?
no, no, not
Oh,
at
okay.
all. Not at
All
all.
right, okay. Shot down.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I said he was good. He's good. But I'll tell you who I see in him. If you've ever seen a Lamada match,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
If you don't
I have
know,
to.
if you don't know who Lamada is, ask Biss.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and then tell Biss I said, "Hey man, Lamada, Isaac Morales is Lamada," and his head will explode. I shit you not. It will explode. Red hair will go all over the place.
Oh, I'm gonna
But
beat him in the birthday bash, but we'll talk about. Wow, my train of thought. You blew my mind. I'm gonna
see,
research
there
that
you
now.
go. That's Isaac Morales, baby.
Oh my goodness! So after that, Borracho came around, and um uh especially with this. Let me correct myself before I do anything stupid. Hold on. I'll rephrase it because I forgot the name of the show and I hate it. Hang on a second. Because I
Are you
had
talking
the
about
name.
the one that's
Um,
coming up, The Revenge of the Six?
no. Okay, got it. Don't trust anybody. So let me reframe that. Okay. So all right, let's try that again. So after New Texas, don't trust anybody. Came out right after, and Dan. I mean, the most Dan of the wrestling business. That I'm just misquoting here, but for you to come out on that open challenge and seeing the surprise or shock of the fans that, oh my god, Killah Kash is on Borracho. Like, what was it like seeing the fans being in that shock when you walked out of that open challenge?
It caught me off guard because I didn't let anybody know that I was there. I didn't want anybody to see me. So when I came out there and they're just like, "Oh shit, he's here too," I was like, "Ah, all right.
I'm
Well, I
that
guess
too.
y'all pay
I am that
attention."
guy too.
Yeah, I guess y'all pay attention. Like that's cool.
Good. I cut
Can
you
you
off
hear me?
there. Yeah, I cut you off. Sorry, I cut you
Oh
off.
no, bro. You were good. You're good. I guess it was just it caught me off guard. I was like, "Oh, y'all like me? Oh, okay. I'm gonna kill Dan."
Okay, gotcha. But what was it like just getting the handshake with Bradley?
Um, I came there for one thing, so it was pretty much like a job interview.
Okay.
I wanted him to know what I wanted, and I've met Bradley before Borracho, like at other death matches and stuff like that. I've seen him at other shows and stuff like that. So it was kind of like having that handshake agreement of, all right, man, I'm here now. So you know what the deal is. He understands. So hopefully he understands what he got himself into.
Because it's interesting because you said it yourself. There is a brick size problem. Um, when you spoke to the mic and say there's a brick size problem, what are you looking forward to with brick? 'Cause have you faced them before leading up? Okay.
Yeah. Um, I faced him. Now here's the problem. When
Okay.
I faced him, I wasn't at my all. Just mentally, I just came back. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know if I wanted to be Remedy. I didn't know if I wanted to be in wrestling. I was
Mm,
just there. And we had a good match, but it wasn't me. It
okay.
was I was so insecure and unsure. Now I'm different. I'm 100% different. And my whole thing is I've sat and I've watched Brick Savage all over Texas, and now he's the best in Texas. He's
Mm,
the number one, and it's just kind of the whole thing of there's an aura, there's a mystique, there's everything to him, and I find it funny that everybody is afraid of him. I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of him at all. This is something that he won't like to say publicly, but we're a lot alike.
mm,
We we're not from the same cloth. We're from the same edge of the blade.
right.
And I want him to realize that this mystique, this everything that he's built hey man, I'm just balanced. I'm going to show him the other side. I'm going to crumble him. I don't want his title. I don't want that at all. I just want him to know that somebody can make him hurt.
How much of that was it? How much of that has changed facing him the first time, leading up to the next event, which is like the Revenge of the Sick in May? How much of that person that you were to where you are now?
Back then, I wasn't me.
Okay.
I didn't know who I was. I didn't know why I was back. I was on autopilot. I didn't want to do the show. I didn't want to be there. And now that I'm here, this is me. 100% this is me. Everything is me, from the introductions to the matches to the announcements. And what you see in the ring is me. I'm not a nice person. I'll tell everybody, I'm a miserable person. I have a chip on my shoulder. Every time I go out, I have something to prove. And the thing that I have to prove is that you don't want none of this. This ain't what you want, but you got it. And what I want to prove, what I'm not, I don't, let me correct that. I'm not going to prove anything. I'm just going to show. I'm going to take your number one person in Texas, and I'm going to hurt him. And I'm going to do it because I want to. They make jokes all the time. And I think I wrote it on Facebook of, he's the devil you know. I'm the devil you don't. You don't know me. And that's more dangerous because you're used to knowing the games that Brick will play, but you don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay. And one last, well, a couple more things. You always have this, and this is from my observation, you always have a chip on your shoulder. How much of that has been part of your life as a wrestler?
It's been part of my life since I've been growing up.
Okay.
I've always been told who I am, who I'm not. I've always been told that I can't do something, but never why can't I. I've always been typecast, if you would say. Because I would always hear the era of the big man wrestling is gone. Or I would hear, oh, they're not going to like this, or they're not going to like that, or we want you like this, or we want you like that. No, because that's not me. Let me be me. And I'm not doing anything else. And I've been in the ring with some of the hardest hitters, just not in Texas, but in the States in general. And I've crumpled them. There's a reason why there are people just in wrestling that call me to take care of their problems. Or when they know that they're going to have a disruptive person on their show, all right, man, we're going to put Cash with them. Or we're going to have Cash here. I've gone to more shows, not wrestling, that just got paid to make sure somebody doesn't act stupid, than I've wrestled more shows. So that kind of brings me back to Hit. So I saw that Hit's going to be at that birthday party. I'm going to hurt him. He knocked my beer out my hand. He ruined my day. I didn't even get to eat my food. So if everybody wants to know why I want Hit so bad, he fucked with me. He messed with my food.
As I say, hands up. I'm like, hands up at that point. That's your match, dude. That's your match. Okay. No, this was honestly, we never really talked that much over time. Like, we were always like passing by, and it's like, all right, see you later, bye. But honestly, like, you're one of the testaments of resiliency, and that's the only thing that I noticed in a lot of your matches. Whatever the outcome is, you're always going to be resilient to get to where you want to go. And that was the takeaway that I learned from this conversation. And I really appreciate someone being open in a conversation like that, because oftentimes people are going to be like, nope. But keep your heart on your sleeve. And I've had many guests that are like that, and those are unicorns in an interview. And I really want to just I appreciate the time that we had tonight. So, but honestly, flowers in wherever you're going, and I want to appreciate you for having you on this week.
Thank you, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we'll end our conversation with this, and I always say this to guests. And if you were in the same room as an adolescent version of you, and you're with him face to face, what would you like to talk to him about?
Oh my God. This is probably going to be the most personal
Okay.
part of the podcast I've ever had. I didn't grow up with a prominent father figure in my life. So what I would tell adolescent me, knowing that he's young and angry and not knowing why he's angry, it's okay to hurt, but talk to somebody, because all
Mm,
this is going to do is kill you.
mm.
So share, but only share with the people that you can trust. So that's what I would say.
Were there? And I'm curious too. Like throughout that time growing up, were there any bridges that you had to burn to better yourself as a person growing up?
Yeah. So a lot of my family members weren't the best,
Okay.
and I could see it then that it was kind of a toxic thing. And my whole thing is I want to break generational curses. Um, the best thing I have in my life is my son. I love my son to
Mm,
death, and I will always pride myself on the day that I die and my son has to stand at my funeral and speak on my behalf. He could say that my dad did everything for me and that my dad loved me. And that's all
mm.
that matters to me. And that's kind of getting me a little emotional, but it's just like, if there's anything that I could do, I've raised a great young man. He's about to be 15. I've raised a
Mm.
great young man, and I love him to death.
Right. And you've had that support system too. How much has that been meaningful to you as a as a younger you growing up?
It was it was always me.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay, gotcha.
yeah, it was always me. I didn't have, like, I had my mom, but my mom also had other kids she had to tend to, and
Right.
my mom was a waitress, and it was just kind of like, we didn't grow up with the finest, we didn't grow up with the best, but my mom showed us love.
Mm,
My mom never showed that when we were struggling because she put it on herself.
mm,
And when I became older, I realized, I think she was so heartbroken because I worked in nightclubs when I was in high school.
okay.
And I'm 6'3", I have a full beard, I can lower my voice and talk like this. So nobody thought that I was like 17 and I would go work a bar. And when my mom found out, she was just like, at first, she was just like, why are you coming home so late? Because my mom used to work late. So I could
Mm,
beat her before. And she was like, are you selling drugs? I was like, I'm working a bar. And she was just like, I don't want you to do that, but I'm making money to pay for my stuff. I'm
mm,
making money to pay for my school supplies, my clothes, but I'm also giving money.
right.
So, and when she realized, it was like, hey, I understand that this isn't what you want, but you need it. And she didn't like it, but I kept a set of rules she wanted me to keep, and I kept them to this day. I told her that I'll never break working a nightclub.
Mm-hmm.
And she made me promise her. And it's funny because I still promised her to this day. She never wanted me to get tattoos where you couldn't see with short
Yeah.
sleeves. So I kept that. But I never broke those rules for her. So,
It shows that both of you guys were appreciated at the end of the day, because that example that your mom had, it carries over to what you're doing things, whether it is wrestling or personal matters that kind of kept you into it. It keeps you grounded at the end of the day too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like everything has brought me to this point, and I feel like it's just like it's funny because I guess you would use it as like, oh man, he's learned all these techniques and he's going to utilize them. I'm utilizing all the techniques I've learned. All the tools of the trade have made me a master carpenter.
Exactly. So this is fun. Oh man, I
I'm enjoying it.
I wasn't expecting to be an ocean kind of a conversation at the tail end. I have nothing left to give. You have the floor, and where can we find you?
You can find me in the streets at your local library. Uh, you can find me on Instagram at I don't remember my Instagram name. Low Life Killah. You can find me on Facebook at a wrestler Killah Kash. Also Channel Effect on Instagram and Facebook, and Renegade USA or Texas Renegade USA. I will be wrestling on the 29th in Jersey for Seven Wrestling. And I'm going to go rain on a birthday party on the 5th.
That's 2 days after. We're going to record this at a different time.
Yes.
But so, but for those who are watching and listening on YouTube or on Spotify, thank you so much for tuning in. And we're on to the next one. All right. Bye.